On the agenda, 2020 Census Report by Sonia Whited and Dr. Bronte DeShiel, co-chairs of the Salisbury-Wacomico Complete Count Committee. And with them, we have also Lori Carter, our Director of Planning, Zoning, and Community Development, as well as Mr. Jesse Drewer, who is also with the Planning and Zoning Department.
Please join us. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. You? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can sit right there. Sure.
Would you all like to introduce yourselves while we're getting that set up?
Sure. My name is Lori Carter. I'm the Planning Director for Wacomico County.
My name is Sonia Whited. I'm co-chair of the Census Complete Count Committee.
Jesse Drewer, I'm the Community Development Planner for Wacomico County.
Dr. Bronte DeShiel, co-chair for the Census Complete Count Committee.
Thank you.
We want to thank you for the opportunity this evening. I am happy to be sitting with the two co-chairs that worked with Wacomico County in the Census 2020. As you know, we worked through a pandemic and still is in a pandemic. And I thought it was very essential that you guys have a chance to be able to see exactly what we did, how we came about it, and what are some recommendations that we see that needs to take place as we move forward to 2030. So we have Miss Sonia Whiten, who's going to start, and then we're going to proceed along with Dr. Bronte DeShiel will provide the recommendations.
Actually, it's the other way around.
Oh, it is. I'm sorry. See, they
That's okay.
changed up on that skit on me.
All right.
Go ahead, Sonia, you want to introduce her?
No, well, I'll just say that what you have, don't worry, we're not going to go over this document.
No.
that Jesse handed out to you. We're going to give you an overview of it, but one of the pieces when we first started talking or had these meetings for the CCC was making sure that we had a transition report, something that would help for 2030. For the planning of 2030. So in this, there's a brief transition report, and also what actually makes it so thick are a lot of the appendices of things that we did, some things that we discussed that we couldn't do because they were in person, but, you know, we had a pandemic. So we wanted to share that, and we have that recorded and available, so when we start in 2027, we will have a blueprint to be able to start with that. Also, I just want to note, since I don't know if the delegation is still here, but some people in the delegation.
Yeah, some of
Okay, well, some of y'all will be getting this as well, in the mail. I think Jesse will be sending it to you in the mail. So that's my intro, Bronte.
Okay, so this was a very new experience for the city and the county to work collectively and collaboratively on this project. We had no framework to start with, no blueprint. So even though we were able to talk to people who worked on the census 10 years ago, there was nothing for us to go by. So we really started from scratch, and we promised that we would leave a framework or blueprints for those to come. My grandmother always told me, when you have an opportunity to be a part of something, leave something better than how it was in the beginning. So one of the things that we recommend for this journey in 2027 is that you know your funding sources. Unfortunately, we missed a big sum of money of about $4 million, and somehow the Eastern Shore was left off of that information. Sonia and I went to the state meeting in Annapolis and was able to express our frustration with the fact that the Lower Shore was not, no one from the Lower Shore applied to this money, which I was actually called to write it. 2 days before, I called the legislation. They said it was already dead. There was no extension of it at all. And I said, do you realize the whole Eastern Shore didn't apply, nor did we get any of that $4 million? So later on, I said, so how are you going to remedy that? Because you have the whole Eastern Shore who didn't receive. So they end up giving us $20,000, which of course, if you run any kind of campaign, you know that's not a lot of money. Once you start printing information and flyers and, you know, things like that, it doesn't work out very well. So definitely know our funding sources. It definitely is a collaborative effort between the state, the county, and the city funding to make sure we're able to maximize whatever resources that are available. Gifts, gift cards, getting those donated, and kind services when we have food. We had a beautiful dinner at one of the churches here in Salisbury to be able to just commune with the pastors that we use their churches and did presentations with them. And they became a big source and hub for us to give information about the census and why it was so important to our community. Early engagement, of course, recommended from the federal and state level is that we start 3 years prior to the census. So that's why you'll see the timeline we recommend is that you start working on this in 2027. Be able to brainstorm, identifying past members or members who want to be a part of the Complete Count Committee, and that it is, again, a collective and collaborative effort from the county and city to work together. I know sometimes there's distension, but this is not the time that we need to be not getting along. Okay, we have to make sure that this is something that we do together as a family because we want to replicate that within our community for people to also work together. So I gave some timelines there, again, starting in 2027, be ready to request funds and have volunteers. So really creating a skeleton of a draft of a plan of how you're going to move forward. On the next page, next slide, thank you. Wicomico County and City partnerships, accountable personnel from each government. So Julia and Lori were very, very intricate in making sure we were able to build our website information, our emails, our business cards, anything we asked for the most part, they were there to support us, and we had the support of former Bob Culver as well as Jacob Day, or Mayor Day, before he left to go off to service. And that was a continuation. Even though he left, Julia picked up the reins and still was able to communicate with us, attend our CC meetings, and support me and Sonia in any way that we needed them to, which was a beautiful thing. Strong and engaged in public relations. So we also were able to build relationships with the radio stations, the gospel stations, the urban stations, as well as television, social media. We really weren't into social media, then we met Sonia. So after
There was Facebook Live.
yes, every 5 seconds was her phone camera recording something. We got to get it. We got to get it. So then it got contagious. So then it got passed on to Lori with the Census Roadshow, and then Jesse came. I'm like, are you guys kidding me? So social media was a big part of us getting information out, especially after we got shut down from the pandemic. And it also gave us good record of information and videos as well. Strong participation established in the events. So we were able to do the road show, which was really enjoyable, where we were actually able to go out into the community and film it and get people out to complete the census. We were able to build communities within the Haitian community and the Latinx community to also band with us, and they also participated in creating flyers that were in their native language or their mother tongue, which helped us out a lot. At the time, the census hadn't kind of had those things ready, but we had a team of people who were on our Complete Count Committee willing to volunteer their services and help us translate the documents to get them out to the community. Presence at the community events, again, making sure that that was happening. We were able to piggyback off of certain events that might have been happening in the villages within the area in Hebron or Mardella, over in, I'm trying to think of another area, but we were able to collaborate together. If there was something happening with even the Tri-County, we were able to go and be a part of that. If there was something happening with, what's the office downstairs? Local Management Board, we were able to piggyback on and get our voices heard about people completing the census. So that's kind of a summary of the overview for our recommendations. Sonia's going to give us the lessons learned.
So a lot of it is reiterating what Bronte stated, but so one that's not on here, but that was mentioned, and you know it's near and dear to my heart since Bronte just called me out, is social media, and so that's a form of just PR. That's really, really important as well. And so what we noted for that is people like to see their name. And so when you call out places like Shore Up or things like that, you get more responses and more feedback on that as well. So that's something just in the PR and social media that engaged some people, that's something that worked well for us. Of course, we have our Facebook Live guru over here as well, that just helped engage and make it fun. So other things that work that are listed here are, we had 2 active subcommittees, and we call those out really because there was a blueprint, we'll call it that, from the census, from the U.S. Census, but we know that everything that comes from like the U.S. Census is not going to work for your community. What worked for our CCC were 2 subcommittees. We had nonprofits organizations, so the United Way and Community Foundation and others held events, like especially during the education phase, so before that March 15th when the census became live, just to inform the community of the importance and to inform organizations. We also had a very strong faith-based one, and Bronte alluded to, I think we had a couple of events in our churches, and that's a strong format that we just need to make sure that we take advantage of, because that really reaches our hard to count population, right? So that's very, very important for us to get a count. The other thing, again, that Bronte hit on, but cannot emphasize it enough, I don't like reading slides, but I really will read what's bolded here, is that the Census Roadshow, and it was led by actually these 2 right here, was essential to a successful response. We had a great partnership with the Lower Shore vulnerable population, and that was really key. And even because there were events that are already established due to the pandemic, it was priceless, but I think regardless, it was just priceless as well. We don't need to necessarily come up with a whole bunch of new events if we could partner with events for the community that are already there, and that's something that really, really was a great lesson learned and a recommendation for, the next census, and I just can't speak on that enough, because the Census Roadshow was something that was definitely, it was fun, it was engaging. Secretary McCord enjoyed it. He got to see the benefit of our Census Roadshow as well, and it is something that stood out, and for us to be able to get the numbers that we actually did get in the middle of a pandemic. So, lessons learned in terms of what needs improvement. Again, Bronte hit on this, but, and she went on into a little bit more specifics, but awareness of state funding. So for the delegation, I can't see behind me, but we just need to be aware of the state funding. I know that at that first meeting, Delegate Cherie was not even aware as well, and that is really not acceptable. So Eastern Shore and the Western Shore were 2 places that were left off of the funding for what we were doing for the census. It was later rectified, but you saw it was kind of a Band-Aid compared to how it was originally stated for other counties. Committee member involvement in events, and what that just means is, especially towards the ends of it, there were multiple events. And Lori and Jesse and Sonia and Bronte are only 4 people, so if you have 3 events, and I know one day Lori and Jesse worked, right, that they worked for it had to be 12, 14, 16 hours to cover off on the census. So that's just something, again, in our general recommendations, that when we talk to the CCC, to make sure that we're involved in events. And again, you don't have to be part of the CCC to come to events and cover off on them. So to make sure that we have coverage for these different events, that's, again, something that's broader for more members of the CCC and of the community. The other piece, though, is accountability. So accountability goes to all of us. It's the subcommittees doing what you say you're going to do. It's community organizations saying that what you're going to do. and government officials as well. So, I mean, we all know the count is very important. We're in the middle of redistricting or towards the beginning of it, and that's a result from the census. So it's something that's really, really important for the community and for our, what we're doing overall for funding, for redistricting, for a whole bunch of things. So the accountability piece is really what we wanted to end with, and part of that is making sure that you're engaged and we share the plans with you in 2027 as well. So part of the process, and we all come along together. So that's basically, I think, it. You want to show the last slide? We did have fun, too. So this is the last slide. We just wanted to show some pictures from, and that's not even the half of it. That's probably maybe 1% of our pictures.
0.1%.
Whatever. As well, and we'll spare you the Census 2020 video or the Census Shuffle video.
We
that
had a
was
census shuffle, too.
It was
Wycomico
fun.
County had become very famous, known for the census shuffle.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You had to be creative to get the word out, and we do want to thank Delegate Otto, who was not afraid to come to the government office building and show us just how much he could shuffle. So we want to say thank you. And we want to say thank you to all of these delegation. They showed up.
Yes.
They came out and they showed up and they attended events after events after events. And again, I can't stress enough, in the midst of a pandemic, people went out and met with people and showed up in the midst of a pandemic. And we wanted to make sure that rate changed better than it was in 2010. And we did that. We did that.
Well, feel free to send the link
In the middle
to
of
those
pandemic.
videos to the council.
Oh,
watch it.
it's something.
So we want to thank
Especially
you
if there's
all
any
for your support.
census shuffles for Charles Otto, we'd love to see that. Yeah. Can we have a demonstration?
But we do. We just said thank you so much. It was it was definitely something that we didn't know how to handle, but we're grateful for the minds that came together. Staff came together and say, "Hey, we're going to make this work."
Wacomico was the lead on the Eastern Shore. We were meeting probably in month number 3 or 4, and the other counties had not even put together a complete count committee.
Correct.
So the state came to us a lot to ask us to give examples and share our experiences to kind of give motivation to the other counties. So we really showed off. We really did. But we did good.
Good work.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Council, do you have any more comment?
I'd make a comment.
Mr. Cannon?
I witnessed personally, I don't know if anybody can understand just how much uncharted territory we were in. It was absolutely amazing to sit there. And then second of all, as you said, Dr. Shield, to be there and find out there is no funding. And the agencies from the state of Maryland that got the funding, I don't even know how that could have possibly happened. If you looked at the name, it looked like it might have been some neighborhood group, but they were getting $20,000. And so we were really in a bind, but you guys made a really great effort.
We
for that.
stretched that 20,000, and we
Yeah.
thank for every person who donated. There were some who dropped off cards and gift. I mean, the community just stood out and stand up for this, and they made it count.
And you did. I mean, you did what had to be done. You created the presence that had to be created, and you did a great job. And again, as you stated here, you achieved the goals, which is phenomenal. And I was a victim of Mrs. Carter's
You were.
Facebook
We got you.
Live. I'm like, may I get out of the car first? But you were everywhere and you did everything. But to have the wherewithal, and I'm not kidding, to have the wherewithal to recognize that a planning guide is absolutely instrumental for the future.
Yes.
I commend you on that more than
Yes.
anything. And that over and above the goals that you achieved, this is phenomenal. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Harley? Isn't it nice to get that recognition? That clap went a long way, didn't it?
Yes, it did. When you're trying to work full-time and do this, look. And we thought we'd be done in a year. We were 2 years later.
Next on the agenda is discussion with Mr. Seth Hirschberger, Executive Director of the Wacomico County Public Libraries.
I don't think he heard you.
I don't know if he heard you.
Yeah, there you go.
There he comes. It wasn't very loud, was it?
I've got a single sheet to pass out here. I'll introduce myself as I'm coming around. My name is Seth Hirschberger.
Good to see you.
I am the new director of Wacomico County Public Libraries.
Yes. Pleasure to see you.
I'm from, got enough here. I'm from Missouri, Show me State. Go Chiefs, go Royals.
Good to see you, Seth.
Go back. Might be easier for you to wait until you sit down to introduce yourself. That way, we'll
All right,
make
that's
sure
fine.
that you're recorded.
That's good. I'll start again. My name is Seth Hirschberger. I'm the executive director of Wacomico County Public Libraries. I'm from Missouri. I graduated from high school in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I worked for 10 years in a suburban Kansas City, Missouri public library system as head of public services assistant director. I worked for the State Department for a few years in the U.S. Embassy in Guyana. I ended up in D.C. for a while working that job remotely, and I went to look for jobs back in public libraries and found this. And thrilled to be here. Just moved to Salisbury from Bethesda a few weeks ago. And very happy to be here with my family. My notes out here. I think I'll cut this a little bit short and save time. I'll probably get to say a lot of this in answering your questions. The public library is a county asset that requires maintenance and investment and development. I look forward to working with the members of the council, and that I think will be my role is conveying how I think the library is a worthwhile investment for this council. You were just speaking with Parks and Rec director. In many ways, I view the public library as analogous to that organization in that we are both focused on the quality of life for the residents of the county. Although the library focuses more on education and enrichment and cultural opportunities for folks, bringing them together around our shared values, our shared interests in a way that supports building community. I also, as a new resident here, am very impressed with many of the iconic structures, the monuments, and in some ways I view the library as similar in that regard, in that it's a place where the community can have shared ownership, pride of ownership, that the library belongs to them, that they feel it's a place where they can come with their families, spend time, connect with other people. My vision for the library is it's a place where everybody feels they are supported and they belong there and it belongs to them. I'm really excited to be here. In that role, I want to be very visible. The board has made clear to me that they view my role as helping raise the profile of the public library in the community, letting people know that we're here, and encouraging people to take advantage of our resources that we offer, strengthening those, doing as much as we can to reach all parts of the county with the resources that we already have that we share here in Salisbury, and our locations there, also Pittsville, and our mobile services. So we're already working on some ways to deliver those services better to all parts of the county.
Well, I'd say in the past year, we learned a lot about the library, and we wanted to bring you in sooner, but the transition period happened during the pandemic, and I know that you met with some other council members, and we wanted to bring you in so that you can meet everybody. So we really appreciate you coming here, and we do look forward to meeting with you more often. So, Council, do you have any comments?
Welcome.
Mr. Hastings?
It's nice to have you.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge Ms. Audrey Orr, President of the Library Board, who is here with me.
You're welcome to sit at the table.
She said I'm in the hot seat.
Okay, Mr. Hastings.
I just want to say, of course, officially welcome. Glad to have you and your family here. This is certainly a fantastic asset that we have in the county, and I'm sure you've learned that now, and you're going to continue to learn how deep that love and admiration for our libraries go. I think going forward, I guess for me, I think, we had a little bit of a tumultuous end to the past director of the library. I think that's important to acknowledge that. We want to make sure that we're now just forward looking. So personally, I don't have a clear understanding as far as where we go with our facilities. There was talk, was it 7 years ago, about demolishing the now Paul S. Sarbanes building or maybe greatly rechanging that up, or we've got the if you tell anybody under 30 what a mall is, if you mention a mall, no one's really going to know what you're talking about. But we have a currently location in the center of Salisbury, the Salisbury Mall. So to me, I think access, and then to make sure that our facilities are up to date, that we have the best. I want to get a clearer understanding in the future going forward. So you don't have to answer that now, but I wanted to let you know where I'm coming from, and of course officially welcome you and say we're really happy to have you on board.
Great.
Mr.
Thank you.
Cannon?
Yeah, I appreciate, you and I did have lunch, and I appreciate the invitation so to get a chance to meet you and recognize what you're all about. Very impressed with your focus on where you think the library needs to be heading. And I'm looking forward very much to seeing how new developments occur. I have a lot of confidence in what I think you'll be bringing to this county. In regard to the Salisbury Festival, is the library planning any events synonymous with that, or?
Yes, the library will be open. The Friends of the Library are having a book sale there. We're also providing the Wi-Fi for the organization. They're connecting through our Wi-Fi that's there available. And we're also going to be a very convenient public bathroom spot for people to come in. So that's it. We're going to stay open and just support the facility, even if our staff have really hard time getting and parking around the building that day.
Ms. Ackley?
I just wanted to echo what Mr. Cannon said. You have an amazing vision, and we had a chance to meet prior to this, and I think that you're going to be a great asset to our community. One of the things that you mentioned whenever we spoke is being inclusive with the entire county and meeting everyone's needs, and I really appreciate you doing that.
Ms. Holloway?
Just say welcome. Try to get by and see you one day. And I guess you're around during the day most of the time, so I'll stop by sometime. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Davis? Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else, Mr. McCain?
Well, one quick thing, we're going to make you a Rotarian. I hopefully Audrey hadn't grabbed you yet for her club, but if not, yeah, the former director was a member of our Rotary Club, so we'll be reaching out to you.
Okay, very good. I look forward to that.
Yep, good way to get involved in the community.
All right. All right, thank you, everybody.
And I would like to echo everybody's welcome as well. And I wanted to point out that I had the opportunity to stop by I guess it was the State Library. They had a booth at Mako, and they had some good things to say about you. So it's pretty exciting to have you on board. So welcome, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Good, thank you. I'll be a familiar face around here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Harley?
Okay, the next item for business is resolution number 98-2021. This is to implement a signing bonus for certified correctional officers in the Department of Corrections, for 911 specialists in the Emergency Services Department, and communication specialists in the Sheriff's Office. Council did hold a work session on this request at the August 17th council meeting, and we have Pam Olin here, Director of Finance, if there are any questions.
All right, need a motion to approve resolution number 98-2021.
So moved.
Got a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of resolution number 98-2021, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Chair, was there a nay?
Yes, sir.
Got one nay.
Can I say something?
Yes, you can. I was hoping you would do that during discussion, but go ahead.
The reason why I say nay is because I feel that you're picking out certain departments to give a bonus to, and you're looking at the other ones like they don't deserve a bonus, and they work just as hard through the pandemic and everything. So I don't feel that you should give out just certain ones.
Mr. Davis, I agree with that 100%, and I think all of us have heard from other employees that have the same concerns, and hopefully we can work on this and move forward and consider helping the other employees. The chair votes aye, so it is a 6-1.
It was it was a 5-2.
Well, I didn't hear the other nay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, 5-2 then. Thank you.
Next for your consideration is Resolution Number 99-2021. This is to make a supplemental appropriation from contingency to the Department of Planning, Zoning, and Community Development for the purchase of redistricting software in the amount of $5,000. The software that the county used 10 years ago for the redistricting process is not compatible for the data that was recently released for the 2021 redistricting, and the expense for the new software was not included in the fiscal year 2022 budget. The request before council is $5,000 for the purchase of new redistricting software, and we have Mr. Frank McKenzie here with the Department of Planning and Zoning, if there are any questions.
All right, need a motion to approve resolution number 99-21.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second by Mr. Cannon. Any discussion?
I do have a question.
Yes, Mr. Kane.
Oh, Mr. Hastings, actually.
Mr. Hastings?
Mr. McKenzie, just,
Yeah, if you would come up to one of the mics, please. And for the record, introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Frank McKenzie with the Wycomico County Planning Office.
Thank you.
I actually had a quick question. Does this particular, I was kind of surprised to see Maryland, the Maryland Department of Planning put together its own database or citizen process or to be able to go through the redistricting process. I guess the question in my mind is, does that align with the current county?
They're using this same type software that we are using, but theirs is going to be at a statewide basis. And this allows for, their version allows for citizen participation. We did not purchase that version of the software. What we purchased was a version specifically for Wycomico County.
And that'll be transferable easily, I'm sure. Put the state data to the local data and then forth.
Yeah, the state data will also include the Wycomico County data, but the data we purchase is specifically so we can do the redistricting process for what you're going through starting tomorrow night, as a matter of fact.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
All good.
Any more questions or comments? Any more discussion?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All those in favor of resolution number 99-21, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed to resolution number 99-2021, please say nay. Chair votes aye. Resolution number 99-2021 passed unanimously. Ms. Hurley, how are we on time?
You can't tell?
Running just a little bit behind schedule.
Okay. Mr. Mitchell?
This is a legislative bill 2021-04, an act to amend the Wycomico County Personnel Manual, Chapter 15, entitled Leave and Holiday Benefits, to include an annual leave buyback provision. It sets forth the maximum accruals, leave requests, timing, approval, procedure, and qualifications.
All right, need a motion to introduce legislative bill 2021-04.
So moved.
Got a motion and do we have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Any discussion?
It's,
Mr. Holloway?
yes, can Pam come up?
Good evening, Pam Olin, Finance Director. Good.
Fine, thanks for being here. Is there a way to figure the cost of this?
Well, and that's the estimate that we put in the budget. It's about $30,000 is what the estimate that we put into the budget
Per year?
per year.
Per year.
And that's, because it was so preliminary when I and we as a administration sent out the request back at the beginning of the budget, not knowing if this would go through, not knowing if council would be interested, I attempted to be conservative and put some additional, what I hope is additional funding in this, and that once we have 1 year under our belt, we'll know a better idea of how many people actually are really interested in this program. We have had people who have lost time, and again, it is a way to be even across the board and hopefully not have employees lose time.
Is Is this patterned after any other counties or any other businesses locally that's done this, or?
This is patterned after a concept that I have seen in other places. It is based on our specific nature of our accrual policy and where typically people start hitting the 360 hours is typically somebody who is over the 8 years of employment.
Ms. Olin, some of us were talking just prior to the meeting, and we were specifically talking about this, and the question was asked, is this going to cost the county anything? And yeah, of course it's going to, but how do you explain that the employee, that time belongs to the employee, so how do you digest that?
Not sure I understand your question. I mean,
Well, if you're going to get involved in the buyback, your time's being bought back, that's your time.
correct.
Right. So it is costing the county, but it's yours. How do you explain that it's your time to make it more palatable? Because some of the council probably doesn't want to pass this because it's going to cost money. But the benefits are already there for the employee.
So we have offered the benefit to the employee. We have had a program that basically says at 360, you lose your time. What that is kind of a disincentive to our longtime employees to, you can lose your longtime employees for periods of time because they're like, I don't want to lose my time. I'm not going to lose my time. So this is a way that if they would like to have the money and not take the time, again, we're not saying that we're buying back all their time, and we're not recommending that. What we're trying to do is get to a point where it gives them some payment for the time that they're potentially losing for a myriad of reasons. They could be, they just went through a pandemic and they couldn't take any time off because of, or they didn't want to travel anywhere because of the pandemic, or they've got responsibilities that make it very difficult to be gone for the number of days that we offer. So this is a way to reward the longevity of our employees and not basically say, hey, your time goes away.
And the longer you stay here, the more time you accrue.
Correct.
It's incremental. And I know there are some employees in government that don't ever want to take off, and they just automatically lose that time.
Correct.
So can't they take that time, can't they take that money anyway without this program?
No. If you don't take the time off, you lose it. At December 31st, our payroll department looks at everybody who has over 360 hours and resets everybody's time back to 360 hours at December 31st.
So they can't take a payment before then? They have to take the time off?
Without this program, there is no payment. They can't ask us to pay them for their leave.
So they automatically lose it if they go beyond.
Correct.
Mr. Pasoda?
John Pasoda, Acting County Executive. What this is we've seen this throughout the country as a tool in management's toolbox to reward those individuals, such as a county employee, and I believe some of you have hit this nail on the head, that they don't want to take a day off. The way the construct in government is, you have several departments that only have so many people, only have so many supervisors, only have so many people that know how to get something done, and they truly don't want to take off. And as a penalty for that, they end up losing time that is, to your point, their time. So the benefit is that they get that payment. Number one. Number two, to Councilman McCain's point at the last meeting regarding productivity, you're getting productivity because you're getting the individual rested, time off, an employee that has a feeling that we appreciate what it is that they do stay here beyond their time. They at times don't take the time off. To your point, Council President, yes, the longer you are tenured here, the more time you accrue. So even when you're off, you're still accruing it. It's at the end of the day, it's a benefit to the employee to reward them across the board, uniformly applied, to reward them for what it is they do.
Any more questions, comments? All right, anything else? All right, everyone in favor of legislative bill 2021-04, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, the chair votes aye. Public hearing for legislative bill 2021. Sorry?
Thank you.
2021-04 be held October 5th. Ms. Hurley at 6 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay. Now we're going to move on to public comments. Please limit all public comments to 3 minutes or less. Any presented material may be submitted to the council members. Please include 10 copies. No derogatory comments, personal attacks, or obscene language. Do we have any public comments? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll be very, very brief. Just Audrey Orr, as live in Salisbury, and as Seth mentioned, I'm the current chair for the Board of Trustees for Wacomico Public Libraries. Firstly, just to be very clear that I'm speaking for everyone on the board, that we're delighted that Seth was able to join us, and we wholeheartedly are supportive of the plans he has for the library. And the only other thing I wanted to say tonight, and I should take off my name tag, as I'm really speaking as a private citizen of Wicomico County, is to thank our acting county executive and to thank all the individual members of our county council for the ongoing support that you provided the library. You make the county a better place to live by doing that. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you very much. Do you have any more public comments? Yes, sir.
Really quick, Delegate Carl Anderton, live in Delmar, Maryland. Again, I just want to say thanks for having us in front of you, and I think it was great meeting early like this so we could get the initial conversations out of the way, do some homework on things that need to be done, so that way when we meet again before session, we're talking about tangible things that we can actually move forward with. I had an idea, I had shared this with Councilwoman Ackley a little while ago, is that back in 2006, the county did a Council of Governments meeting where they brought all 8 municipalities, the council, and the state delegation together at one place at one time to talk about what's going on in all sides of the county. As we're sitting here and I'm talking with my colleagues out in the hallway, first off, I think I work with an amazing group of people. Our Lower Shore delegation's awesome. I'm very lucky to be a part of that, very blessed to work with them. But there are a lot of things that happen in the east side of the county, in Pittsville and Willards, that those who represent the west side of the county don't know what's going on, and vice versa. And so I think having all 8 municipalities together with the county council, with the state delegation at the same time, a place like the Civic Center maybe, would be a good opportunity for everybody to hear what's going on across this great county all at one time. And then as we head into session, when there are issues, when there are grants that Pittsville is applying for, someone a la Delegate Adams or Delegate Motz would know, hear that, understand what it is, and move forward with it. And I think it would just help us stretch out our boundaries, so to speak, and represent the entirety of the county a little bit better. So I'm asking if we can have a meeting like that before we go into session, sometime in November maybe.
Sounds like a plan.
So I'll do whatever I can to help you put it together. But
sounds like a
but again,
plan.
I just wanted to thank you for bringing us all here together, and I thought it was very good. Thank you.
It was good. Thank you very much. Any more public comments? All right, moving on to council comments. Mr. Holloway?
Sure. First off, I'd like to thank the Rec and Parks, Mr. Miller and his staff for the excellent job they did at the county fair. And mostly, I'd like to thank all the volunteers. A lot of people came out to put that thing together, and they had a very successful county fair. The weather didn't cooperate 100%, but it worked out really well. And we depend on a lot of volunteers in Wicomico County to get things done, and they really stepped up. And Mr. Soda, thank you for supporting that. I appreciate it. And you can pass that on to Mr. Miller if you'd like to. Okay. The other thing is, I've seen a lot of school buses on the road past couple days. School's back in session. Folks, drive careful. Kids are standing along the roads. Bus drivers are trying to get them there. Watch for those signs when they flip out. Don't be passing those buses and putting the kids in danger. So that's about all I have tonight. Thank you.
All right, any more council comments?
I'll jump in.
Mr. Hastings?
Yeah, and I just want to say real quick, first of all, COVID in Wycomico County, we are unfortunately 175 new cases according to the Wycomico County Health Department as of today, and we are at 12.5% positivity rate, where the state average is about 4.5%. So unfortunately, we're on the rise here, so the more that we can continue to do to prevent that, the better. I'll leave it at that. I'll also say the good thing that I was going to actually point out was, I think as most folks in this room who are here realize that on their way walking in today, there's a giant stage sitting in front of the office building here. The National Folk Festival is this weekend. This was on track originally to have 180,000 people. Obviously with COVID, we're not going to get close to that, but we are going to have a heck of a lineup, and it's going to be just really something special. So to anyone who's listening or anyone in the audience or others, please encourage any out-of-town friends or anyone who is in town in the county to please come out and check it out. This is a really great resource for our region, really great event. The last two ones have been really special. The lineup looks fantastic, so I would really love to show off Wycomico County and put it on kind of more of a statewide and national perspective. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hastings. Any more council comments?
I wanted to thank
Ms. Ackland.
the census team for all they did in putting this together. I didn't realize they had went from a zero budget to a $20,000 budget. That's pretty amazing to do all that with such a low budget. So thank you, all those who worked on it and all the volunteers and contributors.
Any more council comments? All right, I'd like to thank the delegation for attending, and thank you, Delegate Anderton, for what you said. I too want to thank Steve Miller and also Zach Evans for all the work they did with the county fair. It was a nice event, even though the weather, it rained. A lot of us came back from Mako and Ocean City for the ribbon cutting, and we stood there in the rain. So we were glad to see it, and we were glad to see all the people that were out and about. Several other things going on. On the 18th, Sharptown has their Heritage Day, and that's a big event for them. But something else that I participate in and I really support is Delmarva Bike Week, which is coming up on September 15th through the 19th. So you'll see a lot of motorcycles around here, and I imagine we'll see our sheriff's motor units out there. So hopefully you'll embrace them with open arms, because it's big for economic development, and they'll be at the Shorebird Stadium, and they'll be riding back and forth to Ocean City as well. So that's all I have, unless anybody has anything else. All right, need a motion and a second to adjourn from legislative session to go into open work sessions. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
You got a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, now we're going to go into open work session. First on the agenda is on-site relocation of .57 acres of forest conservation easement located on Spearn Road. Mr. Tyler Walston, Planning, Zoning, and Community Development.
Good evening.
We're running behind, that's why I'm kind of talking fast.
Yes, sir, I understand. This evening, we have an easement relocation request from Parker and Associates on behalf of Kurt and Tammy Kindeman. The location of the property is 32131 Spearn Road. The applicant is requesting permission to relocate a portion of the forest conservation easement that is located on the property. Currently, the site has 106.55 acres in an FCA easement. The applicant requests that .57 acres of the easement be relocated. Since the relocation is proposed to occur on-site, the owner must relocate the easement at a 1-to-1 ratio. The owner has agreed to cover all expenses, and at this point, staff recommends approval.
Okay. Do we have any discussion? All right.
Mr. Walston, can we get a bigger, like a map that we can enlarge so I can actually see this plat?
Sure,
The
I've got a
mitigation
copy
plat?
here.
Okay.
Did you bring an easel?
I do not have an easel. where the areas are going to be relocated.
Yep.
So they're taking the site here, just these three spots, each at 0.57 acres.
Thanks.
You okay with that? Okay, this requires a public hearing which can be held on October 5th at 6 PM. Is that okay, Ms. Harley?
Yes, that is fine.
All right, so we'll have a public hearing on the